been a lot said about this idea that Silicon Valley on the Gold Coast, Silicon Valley in Australia, Gold Coast is the place for that, Silicon Valley. And I'm a bit tired of it. I really am a bit tired of it because, you know, Silicon Valley's got its own set of challenges, its own set of successes, and I think the Gold Coast has an identity unique to Australia and unique to the world. We've got unique variables that we can be personally proud of without, you know, talking about being what another city was to another country. And today I really hope that what we can do, as we listen to Alicia's story, is work out parallels between, you know, the way that Silicon Valley evolved and the way that America has driven their technology industry in different cities, and see if we can apply some of those things here. What I'm told is that one of the best things we can do is build a community socially of people getting together. Actually, that's one of the biggest things. That social momentum is what adds value to the technology sector. And the reason for that is so much business is done over a beer. You know, you're not always doing business in offices, you're not always doing business in the negotiation room. You're actually doing business socially with people who you're sharing knowledge with, sharing successes, sharing failure with, and learning from that failure. And I think to some extent that might be what Alicia might be telling us today. So without further ado, Alicia Castillo-Holly is an experienced serial entrepreneur, board member, mentor, and consultant taking innovations to markets. She's co-founded or founded 11 organisations, 9 companies and 2 non-profits all around the world. She's a prolific angel investor, author and public speaker. Dr. Castillo-Holly is a former scientist in molecular biology, if what I already said wasn't enough for you. She's lived in several countries including Australia, the US and Chile, where she started the country's first seed capital fund. She's a member of the Sandhill Angels, one of the top angel investing organisations in Silicon Valley, and a mentor at Stanford University's Entrepreneurship course. She was also an adjunct professor at Santa Clara University. She completed a PhD at the University of Western Australia in finance and entrepreneurship. Without further ado, Alicia Castillo-Holly.
Thank you. What a great introduction. Oh my gosh. When you listen to those things, I can't help but turn back and think, oh my gosh, look at all the things that I've done. I only wish that I could share with you not only the successes, which look great on paper, but also the failure. What I thought about doing, and thank you very much for coming here, is to structure this sort of talk in 3 stages. The first stage is to walk you through the evolution of entrepreneurship. I'm an academic. I left molecular biology to study entrepreneurship because I thought that was what would change the world. I come from a socialist country. I grew up in a socialist environment. We never talk about money in my house. And I learned the world of entrepreneurship when I was at the early age of 34. So I was already a mature person when I first encountered the world of entrepreneurship. Then, so I started studying how entrepreneurship evolved. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Then I'm going to talk about the opportunities and challenges of entrepreneurship today. And I'm going to wrap it up with what are the good things about Silicon Valley, what are the challenges that we have there, and what are the opportunities and challenges that I see here. My call to action at the end would be some very, very specific tips that I can see that could make a difference here. And then I would encourage you to participate and have some questions and answers and make some comments and some suggestions because, as he well said, entrepreneurship is not about an individual, but it's about a community. And progress, it's not about the individual, it's also about the community. And Australia and the Gold Coast have some very, very strong points that I don't think should be forgotten in view of progress and venture capital or the Silicon Valley mentality. So if that's okay with you, I'm going to start with the history of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship was coined as a way of disrupting the market, to create something new out of something that was fading. And the person that coined that name was Schumpeter in Harvard. He was from Austria, and he realized that when everybody was trying to be more and more efficient and trying to use their resources in a way that they would reduce costs, some people were taking the completely opposite view, and they were saying, let's create new markets. So if you think about it, the markets that we have, that we naturally have, are the markets for food, shelter, clothing. Then we can go into social practices. But we didn't have a market for iPhones. We created that market. We didn't have a market for hairdressers. We created that market. We didn't have a market for education. We created that market. So these guys started looking at what people did to create new markets. And he developed a whole theory about creative disruption, or creative destruction, depending on which area of the US you think about it. But his colleagues in Austria said, no. The people that drive prosperity and create new wealth are the people that take innovations and improve the current models. So those are the two schools of entrepreneurship. The Chocolatier school is about creating opportunities, and the Austrian school is about discovering opportunities that already exist in the market, and the market that is waiting to become more and more efficient. Both schools of thought have completely different theories, but they both combine a fundamental human need, which is the need for progress and the need to serve others. So contrary to what most people understand as entrepreneurs, being this solo person that is risk taker, that is go-getter, that is gonna face uncertainty, and that's gonna compete and win, entrepreneurship is really about creating and delivering value for others. It's a human connection with other people. Entrepreneurship is not about starting a company. Entrepreneurship, as you would see, and you are a good example of that, it's about growing companies. And entrepreneurship is not related to the commercial market. You can be an entrepreneur and be a public servant. Entrepreneurship is about creating prosperity. And that is the entrepreneurship of the 21st century. How do we create prosperity? Prosperity is measured in terms of capital, but it's also measured in other forms. For example, if you have to work long hours, if you have to have 3 jobs, and you can't rest, you might have a lot of money, but you don't have prosperity. And the society as a whole doesn't benefit from people overworking. That is not prosperity. That is just money. And being rich and being wealthy is very different. So the one thing that I want to continue to talk about is this wave of entrepreneurship with a purpose, the purpose economy, the conscious capitalism. This is the wave we're getting into at the moment. And that wave fits into the current globalization of information. So whatever happens here impacts us, but what happens in other parts of the world impacts us as well. So you might be thinking that, well, Australia is a small country and we don't really have a lot of resources, but think about it. One of the top trends in tweets yesterday was an Australian that faced a shark attack. Did you see that? So immediately, Australia is on the top of the trending of Twitter. It's second to the terrorist attack in Turkey. And what we're doing is we're not only maximizing the operations of businesses, we're creating things that are fun. And that is something most small economies don't think about. You can create a lot of value by having fun things. And some of the fun things that you have don't have a commercial value. How do you measure inspiration? How do you measure family support? How do you measure a what in Gold Coast? So those are things that are part of the ecosystem that don't get to be measured but have an impact. And that is a new wave of entrepreneurship.